This week I learned someone could drop an ice cube outside and my kid's school district will completely close down. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we are rolling through the first month of the new year. So exciting times on the channel, guys. Lots of fun things to talk about. Lots of fun things on the horizon now that we have avoided the winter apocalypse. Like that freeze happened here like 3 years ago. And now every time it dips below 20, the whole city freaks out. But hey, that's what happens when you live in the South, guys. It just kind of gets like that. Let's begin, guys. As per usual, let's talk about what am I reading. I did finish part 1 and 2 of Shogun, James Clavell. Nothing much new to say that I didn't say last week and the week before. It's great, guys. It's an amazing book. It's an awesome read. I feel like not only am I learning so much about the Japanese culture, I'm learning so much world history about stuff during the time period that I had no idea about. So it is also a learning experience, but it's also wrapped around a really, really awesome tale. So very much Stranger in a Strange Land is always a theme I'm going to be able to get on board with because it's just so much fun because you can play with those ideas of fish out of water and stuff like that with so many other things, as well as, learning that, hey, maybe we're not as different as we think we are. So it's a very abrupt stop. I think I knew where it ended in the miniseries. Or rather, I watched the miniseries, so I thought I knew where part 2 was going to end, but apparently it didn't. So I'm curious. It's a weird place for it to pause. I actually feel like where it paused is kind of an odd space. But again, when you go into this, having already, watched that miniseries, you're going to kind of have some things that are kind of just in your head. They're just going to kind of say like that. But we'll be picking back up with part number 3, which is going to be in February, and that's about 400 pages, whereas this time it was almost 500 pages. So about 40% through, I say, with the parts 1 and 2. Then part 3 is the longest chunk of the book, and then 4, 5, and 6 are about 400 pages as well. And then we'll be doing those in March in time for the television series, which has a 2-hour premiere on February the 27th. So I'll be staying ahead of the show, and it's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch it. I did go ahead and start Threadlight by Zach Argyle. Is that a beautiful edition or what, guys? I showed that in depth earlier this week. But really, really cool. You want to talk about an upgrade going to this after reading it on digital? Yes, quite impressive, the art and everything in here. But I've already kind of talked about why this is awesome. But guys, this a very interesting series. I liked it enough that I'm going to continue. I said my new thing I was doing with series this year is I was going to, decide. I'd read book 1 and then I'd decide if I was going to keep going. I'll keep going with this one. Quick reads, all 3 of them are about 300 pages a piece. So, altogether, it's shorter than, your average Malison book. That's cool. But with this, it's kind of a weird series for me to try to recommend, because I feel like there's going to be enough things in it that are familiar that I'd be like, okay, yeah, I think a fan of like a Brandon Sanderson or a Brent Weeks or a Brian McClellan, they probably like this. They probably enjoy this quite a bit. But then I also know those fandoms are very protective over those things, and they might feel like this is just a complete, derivative nature to some of those books. So I don't know, but for me, I enjoyed it. But going into it, Zach told me of the 3 POV characters, he said, you're going to like Chris, you're going to be annoyed by Laurel, and you're going to be confused by Alvarax. Well, he's true on 2 of those. I did like Chris quite a bit. Obviously, that feels like your protagonist, I guess you'd say. I mean, I feel like all 3 of these characters are going to have some kind of arc like that. But I do feel like Chris is obviously the lead of the story. At least I'm thinking so thus far. And that can always change as things go around. But, relatable to me. Obviously, he's a dad, a newborn kid, and it's very, very important. His family obviously takes priority. And then you've got Alvarax, which, yes, Zach was right on that one. I didn't understand what was going on. But towards the end, I was interested enough in his chapters. I really can't wait to see where he goes with that character in the sequels, because I thought really he was just setting this up to be, maybe the big bad of the series. And it still might. It still might. I don't know. There's enough dangling threads, pun intended, that I don't know. I don't know where it's really going. But with Laurel, I don't think that I was really annoyed by her. She has some Kvothe-like qualities. Name of the Wind Kvothe has some of those qualities, I think, but never in a way that I feel like it wasn't intentionally written that way. Obviously, she's a bratty teenager. It's going to happen. sometimes, but I wasn't really as annoyed with her as I expected, and maybe it's because I went into that with an expectation. But yeah, I'm liking the story enough to keep going. We've even got some animal companions popping up now, so very excited and reading out of that amazing omnibus edition. I want to thank Zach so much for getting that to me a little earlier than actually was planned to get to me, and that's just great because it's just a stunning edition, and it's been a lot of fun reading from it. And I was saying that one of the sad things about getting this was that it was losing the amazing art that the original covers had. Well, that art's all inside here, inside this omnibus, and yeah, it's really, really beautiful. But this takes me into what am I going to read, guys, because I did finish those two, and I had one book left on the monthly TBR. That was All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy, and I started reading that. And it's a little easier to read than Blood Meridian, but I wouldn't say it's easy. It's always that Cormac McCarthy kind of way. It's a little bit of a challenge, I think, to get into his style of writing. Not too terribly far into it, but, lots of things. I kind of get that Lonesome Dove kind of vibe that he's capturing, that time period in the southern regions of the United States pretty well. I'm liking it, and I can see already it's going to be an interesting take on a coming-of-age story. So again, I haven't got that too far into it. Really, it's about this kid's relationship with the parents so far, and that is not what I expected really at all. But I thought, what could be great to pair that? Because, guys, I'm going to have a little extra time because that's a pretty short book. So I think it was like 287 pages, so I don't think that it's going to be taking me the next 2 weeks of January. So I said, finally, guys, I can finish Arc of a Scythe by Neil Shusterman. So I thought, hey, pairing something that's a little lighter with Cormac McCarthy is a great idea, and that's why I went with the Toll. Look, earlier this month, I did Shogun and Assassin's Fate at the same time. That was a decision where I said, I think I gotta get two smallies together and read those together here at the end of the month. That's what I'm gonna be doing. The Toll, get like 40 pages in. Again, kind of the same place that I was at for Thunderhead. Not sure I'm crazy about the direction he's going. I kind of really, really wanted him to stick with that formula that works so well in book number 1. And it's not just because there's new characters. It's just I feel like, okay, you're doing that Brent Weeks thing where I have these established characters that I like and I want to know more about. And then you've kind of fell in love with this new character that you wrote in. And now it feels like the story's all about that new character. So that's what I'm kind of concerned about with this. And also, guys, you can ask just about anybody who's read this series. I think 9 out of 10 people tell me they did not like this book. So I'm curious if he does some kind of, gotcha, haha, subverting your expectations or what in it. But I guess I'm going to find out. I am going to find out. But I have enjoyed it enough that I do plan to read the Unwind series by Neil Shusterman. Maybe not this year, but eventually. But that's really all I've got going on for what I'm going to read. I'm still reading Son of Neptune with my oldest kid. That's book number 2 in the Heroes of Olympus. Slow going on that because we don't even read every night. Like I said, I always give him the option: do you want to read or do you want to stay up 30 minutes later? And he'll usually pick the staying up 30 minutes later. Unless he's really, really like watching the Percy Jackson TV show has gotten him real interested in going back and reading this each night. But we're about halfway through that right now. But guys, how about this week on the channel? Did get out a few things. Everyone loves the top 10 list, right? A video that I'd been asked for a long time was, you've done your favorite fantasy series, you've done your favorite horror books, why don't you do your favorite sci-fi series? I said, well, I haven't read enough series, but I have read enough books to make I would say it's probably an abridged list compared to yours because I haven't read as much science fiction as I have fantasy. And it was I wouldn't say it was an easy list to make, but it was easier than my fantasy list is, So I think that I had a good time picking those. There still were some tough cuts. I think I had 6 honorable mentions in it. And I've had a lot of people, I think the biggest comment is, I can't believe you don't have Andy Weir on there. It's like, guys, you're dealing with the best of the best. Sometimes some things just aren't going to make it. Yes, I know that an Andy Weir book was my book of the year one year. But look at the top 10, guys. There's some legendary books in there. So I was quite content with it. And as always, with those lists, it's more about inspiring other people to tell me what their top 10s are. Maybe some of these books that flew under your radar and you never really got to them. Like a lot of people have been like, man, I had no idea that Childhood's End was this popular, that you liked it that much. And I mean, yeah, I can get that across. That Childhood's End was an amazing book. That's the kind of the purpose of videos like that. But that comes with the territory. That's a lot of people's first eyes on the channel are going to be for a video like that. And because it was a very popular video, obviously top 10s always usually are. But it was a lot of fun conversation in it. But again, I had no idea that there was so many Andy Weir fans. And I think that really they're just saying they're a little shocked because I didn't put any on there. I was like, look how much I gush about Blake Crouch. He didn't have a book in the top 10, you know? So when you talk about the best of the best with hunters, sir, I think it's just, you know, you're just going to have to accept that not everything can make it. And that's a list I'm sure will change over the course of time because I am going to be dipping into a lot more of those popular sci-fi books that I've never read before. I did a short about that omnibus that I did get of the Threadlight trilogy, and I'm so excited. I'm glad that people enjoyed that. And it's one of those things where whenever I do something like that, I want people to see it, you know, because there's so many people who ask to see pictures and stuff like that. It's never meant to be a flex. You know, Zach did get it to me a little earlier than he got to some other people. And I hopefully it doesn't make people think that I get special treatment. It's just they arrived on the port of Galveston and I'm in Houston, so they got to me a lot faster than a lot of other people. That's like a 50-mile drive, you know. So I got it a little earlier than everybody else, but I'm sure you guys will be getting it very, very soon, and you won't be disappointed. Did kind of a shorter video, which was just my spoiler-free thoughts on Assassin's Fate by Robin Hobb, and yes, that is just an excerpt. In case you guys have missed that, I'm going to start doing that. When I talk about a book for 4 or 5 minutes in a weekly update or a wrap-up or something like that, or my book of the month, and I feel like that's good enough for people who want to know my general thoughts, because a lot of people, guys, they don't watch the weekly updates. They don't watch the wrap-ups, and sometimes people just are searching for a book review, you know, and they are going to find it if it's in the weekly update. So I decided I was going to start isolating those and putting them out there just as rapid reviews. So yeah, if you guys watch everything, sure, it's nothing new to you. Those are really meant to, you know, help some people out if they like, hey, have you read Speaks Nightbird? I want to be like, yeah, you got to go back to this weekly update in December of 2023 to find it. I want them to be able to find those videos on the channel. So that's why I'm doing that now. So hope it's not annoying you too much. And I did get a lot of positive feedback on my thoughts of Assassin's Fate. A lot of people kind of in the same stance that I am about it, and others are like, you're crazy, it's the greatest book in the whole series. You know, so it is. I didn't dislike it. Like I said, I have thoughts. And then when Philip's done, I'm sure Philip and I will talk about those thoughts a little bit in depth. I did go a little bit in depth when I talked about the Arabasta saga of One Piece. Now, manga stuff on my channel, guys, it's boom or bust. People either can't stand it or they love it, you know, or they want me to do more of it. With this is One Piece. It's just I'm having a great time with it, so I want to talk about it. You know, I talked to so much in my year-end stuff about how much I really love the series, and I'm having a great time with it, and I did want to talk about it, so I went ahead and said I would go ahead and review that arc as well. I think it's more of like thoughts and a review, because I'm not doing like, you know, panel-by-panel breakdowns. I'm not doing, you know, each chapter. It's really just, hey, here's this arc. I like this, and I didn't like that. It's just kind of more thoughts, I guess you'd say, than a review. But hey, I'm having a great time with One Piece, and again, I'm not going to shy away from that, even though I know most people on this channel are here for fantasy novels, written word. I get that, but I want to make sure I show some love to those other things that I do enjoy as well, and I am really enjoying One Piece, and I think that you probably would as well. How about some next week plans, guys? I got a couple of things planned. Just kind of depends on how the week goes. I talked recently about, I was thinking about doing, I did a video, gosh, I don't know, maybe in the fall of 2023, talking about, you know, people who don't want to wait for a series to be completed. Well, hey, here's a bunch of series that are done right now that you can binge, and I think they're worth breaking your TBR for. I do think that there are some series out there that are not complete, they're still being worked on, that are every bit as much worth breaking your TBR for, and I'll talk about some of those favorite series that are ongoing, and if I think they'll ever be finished, and things like that, when they should be finished, and why I think it's worth it to go ahead and start them now. And you won't be too disappointed, I don't think. So it should be a fun conversation. I think that anytime I can kind of put a spotlight on some of these other ongoing series that are going on right now, I think that that's a lot of fun, and we will do that sometime this week. Going to do my TBR for 2024 of February. February is the shortest month of the year, so of course, don't you know, I have way more planned for that month than you know, I probably will have time for, but we'll talk about that in depth as usual. And if I have the time, guys, I think about doing another review this week. I think I'm going to go back and do a book review for Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. It's one of my, you say, top 20 books of all time. It's just an incredible story. I did reread it in November, and I had as much fun with it as I did when I read it for the first time as a junior in high school. So I think I could probably talk about that because I do plan to continue with ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤 and World Without End sometime in 2024. So, if that's something that you guys are interested in, sure, I'll do a review of each one of those. But as for now, I'll just be planning to do maybe ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤 of the Earth because I think that that's a book that any fantasy fan is going to love because seriously, if you add a little magic to it, I think it could very much be considered a fantasy book, as most history is. So very excited to talk about that book because it is just a phenomenal read. And it's one of those that you look at the length of it. It's like a Lonesome Dove. You look at the length or Swan Song and say, wow, that's so long. And then you can't believe how fast you rip through it because it's just that good and that easily digestible. So I probably talk about that if I end up with the time this week. But guys, that's all I have for the books. I do have a couple of TV and movie things. Look, we've really just been watching Sopranos. I haven't watched a ton. It's the Sopranos and it's NFL football. Playoffs right now. Like I said, the Texans are in it, and that's awesome. But I mean, even if they weren't in it, guys, I lock in for the NFL playoffs every year. It's like it's the best time of the year if you are an NFL fan, and I love the playoffs. So that's kind of taking my time on the weekends, and then every other chance that we have that's free, away from the kids and the TV's free. My wife and I have just been watching Sopranos. We've already blown through the first 2 seasons in a couple of weeks now. We're about 2 or 3 into season 3 right now. So yeah, it's easy to say, guys. My wife is liking it, and this is my first rewatch of the series. And guys, it's as great as I remember. Now, my thing was, I said I felt like the first 3 years of Sopranos, best show maybe ever. And I said 4, 5, and 6, I don't know. But going back in hindsight, I'm thinking I might have just been pissed off because it felt like it took forever between those seasons. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see as I revisit if I feel that strongly about 4, 5, and 6, if I feel like they really do stand up as well. Because a lot of people, when I say that, they're like, I thought it was great the whole time. But, a lot of people didn't have to wait, and like the end of season 2, there's a character death that really just like tore me up, the first time. And my wife was like, didn't bother me as much as you. And I'm like, that's because you didn't have to wait. You didn't have to wait between seasons. You didn't have to wait a week between episodes. When you're binging it, sometimes you don't get the full effect of some of those things. But guys, it's just amazing show. Again, I'm not going to tell you every single week how great The Sopranos is. You should know by now. But really, that's all I got going on. Did finish season 2 of Reacher this morning, and it's awesome, guys. It's just awesome. I like the last 4 pile up, and I just watched them all today. It's had amazing success. It's one of the most popular shows on streaming right now. It's blowing away the first season, and I think that season 2 really does, as far as like the quality of it, blew away season 1, and I loved season 1. I think season 2 was just perfect. There wasn't anything I'd change about season 2, and the show's super, super popular now. I'm seeing so many more people talking about it, and they're talking about how many, I guess they do by how many minutes. It's like over 1 billion minutes or something like that of watch time, which is just kind of blows away everything. It's funny. This show, which cost a fraction of what Rings of Power costs, has a bigger viewership. Amazing how that works, right? Quality, guys, quality. Yeah, it's just amazing. They've already started filming season 3. It's such a success. And look, Alan Ritchson, again, I'm just blown away that the guy that played Tad Castle on Blue Mountain State is playing Jack Reacher, and he's just so amazing on this. This guy, he has got to be cast as Conan or He-Man or both of them. I think that guy would be a home run as either one of those characters. So I think this is just the beginning of a very, very bright future for this guy. And he's just, I haven't read the Jack Reacher books, so I don't know. But from everybody I know on my Discord that does read them, yeah, he's the character. He is very much the character. And I think this show's got just like serious potential because there's so many books by Lee Child out there that he's written about this character that this show could go on for a long time if they want to. And I hope that same showrunners stay involved because I think they do have Lee Child involved on it, just like they have Michael Connelly on Bosch, just like they have Sensei Oda on One Piece. You got the creator involved. That was one of my things when I talked about the why can't they get fantasy adaptations right. One of the things I said is like, why are you not paying attention to the creator? Look at the guys from House of Dragon. They've got George R.R. Martin on speed dial, and they take his advice. And if he says that's not going to work, they listen to him. So I'm glad that this is the way it is working out because it seems like that's how you get adaptation right. But I did say I am going to remain blissfully ignorant of the books, guys. I don't really read thrillers, so I'm happy to keep Bosch and keep Reacher and keep Terminal List as a nice little great television that I'm just going to enjoy because I don't want to nitpick it. I don't want to nitpick it. Oh, it wasn't like that in the book. I don't want to do that. But again, no disparaging those books. I'm sure they're fantastic. I mean, you have fantastic source material. It's adapted faithfully. And look, we've got these great shows. Yeah, that means that the books are probably pretty good. It's just not my style of book. But I'm not saying I never say never on these things, but I know a lot of people will be like, are you going to read Terminalist? Are you going to read Jack Carr? Are you going to read Reacher? Are you going to read Bosch? No, I'm not planning on it. But again, like I said, I never say never. But right now, it's a no. But I am just going to keep enjoying these amazing, amazing television shows. And guys, if you haven't watched Reacher, do so immediately. I know all you guys got Prime shipping, so go, you get Prime Video for free. You ain't got to be like, oh, I want to buy another streaming service. Just go ahead and watch it, guys. I think you're going to be just completely blown away. A friend of mine who kind of comes to me for recommendations, and then he's always like, yeah, like that, I don't want to pick another streaming service. And he had Prime, didn't even know about this show, and he watched all 2 seasons in 3 days, guys. That's how much he really loved Reacher. And I think that you guys will too. But that is my week. Gonna go watch some football now and hope for the best of things. And if not, hey, can't really be upset. It's the most fun I've had watching football in Houston since 2011. So it's been a very, very fun season. And we'll see what happens today. But you guys go ahead and drop in the comments. Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing, all of those things and more. And be safe and have a great, great weekend.